Dear ladies and gentlemen, today, representing the Pittsburgh Chinese community, I have the great pleasure to welcome Ms. Lindy Li. Let's show her our warm Pittsburgh welcome. We are here to show our support of Ms. Lindy Li, who is running for a U.S. congressional seat. Some friends may ask, why are we here to support her? She's not in our district, and some of us are not even Democrats. Does this have anything to do with us? As we know, our Chinese Americans are being labeled as one of the model minorities. We work hard, we are high achievers, and we do not complain. We focus on our jobs and our families. We don't like to be involved in politics, and often have felt that is some other people's concern. While uninvolved, we still have hoped that the political process will turn out to be in the favor of our interests. But that's sometimes not the case. Let me point out some recent examples. Example, when the proposed regulations are not fair to our children, such as the SCA 5 and Bill AB 1726. These bills are trying to subdivide the Asian Americans with the purpose of limiting the college admission rate of Chinese American kids. Example, when we are wrongly accused of espionage, such as in the case of Professor Xi Xiaoxin, the hydrologist Sherry Chen, and many more, even though those cases were dropped eventually. But nonetheless, during the process, the individuals and the families, they endured tremendous stress and hardships. Some of them, they lost their jobs and are still facing huge legal fees. Example, when we became a scapegoat, such is the case as the former NYPD police officer Peter Liang, who was prosecuted as a criminal, while instead a tragic accident happened. Who then was speaking out for us when those unfair situations arose? Do we have anyone even in the position to speak for us? We know America is a democracy. Our policies and laws are made by our congressional representatives. At the national level, there are 435 congressional seats and 100 Senate seats. So among these 535 seats, how many are Chinese Americans? Do we know that? Yes, only 3, of course you know that. Only 3 seats is such a small number, so no wonder nobody speaks out for us, and no wonder we have no voice. Today, we have the opportunity to meet Ms. Lindy Li. She's a wonderful young lady who is brilliant, focused, and she has the courage to walk on this long and hard road to become a congresswoman. Our Chinese community should stand together and help her, support her. We should support her spiritually and financially to help her to win. This campaign is as much as hers and as ours. She is one of us. She represents us. She wins, we win. Thank you. Thank you. We also have the honor to meet Mr. Richie Tabachnik. Richie Tabachnik is the president of Equipment and Controls Africa, an engineering service company specializing in energy industry in Africa. He is also a director of the Sheer Wind, an innovative renewable energy company. Richie serves as chairman of the board of Keystone Progress, a statewide progressive communication and grassroots organizing group with nearly 200,000 members. Richie has a long history of political activism. He is one of the President Obama's presidential partner and a member of the Voice for Progress, a vibrant Pittsburgh. Let's welcome Mr. Tabachnik.
Thank you. Thank you very much for inviting me and allowing me to speak in front of this group. In 2013, the U.S. Senate passed a comprehensive immigration reform bill. This was an important step in the process of reforming our immigration policies in the United States. Its detractors called it an amnesty bill, but that nothing could be further from the truth. The bill allowed for people who were undocumented workers to start on a process towards naturalization that was a 13-year-long process. During that 13 years, they could be deported at any time for deviating from the laws or immigration requirements. The proposed bill had, or the bill that was passed by the Senate, had many other important provisions. It extended the DREAM Act, which covered undocumented immigrants who came to the United States as children, who were brought by their families as children, to give them an opportunity to earn citizenship as well by completing their education, by either finishing college or serving in the armed forces, and by mastering the English language. This is a common sense reform. It also allowed for a merit-based system of immigration to give preference to people who had superior educational background or needed job skills. There were some other important aspects to this immigration bill. It increased enforcement on employers. And really, the number one reason that people become undocumented immigrants is because they know they can get jobs in the United States. They know that there are numerous employers who will employ them even though they're not legal to work. It also provided for increased border security. The House of Representatives refused to even look at this legislation. And that's why we need somebody who understands these challenges. We need a Democratic majority, and we need people like Lindy Lee who understand the issues. So let me turn the microphone over to Yanine to introduce Lindy.
Okay, thank you. Yes, thank you everybody, and also thank you, Richard, for coming here and support Lindy and support the Chinese community. And we are all here because we are all immigrants, most of us. And we come to the United States and have a dream. And we want a dream to pursue the happiness, have the equal opportunity to do the things that we want to do. But when we come to this land and we face a lot of challenge and a lot of problem, and we think we need to fix. And for one reason is the equal opportunity to get education. And our kids, because of the Chinese culture, and we work hard, we don't complain. And if we have the unfair treatment and we suck it up and we work even harder, that's our culture. But that's not working in our favor anyway. Because the recent bills and the proposed by the California, they kind of use the affirmative action as an excuse to block the Chinese people and who are working hard, want to get higher education and pursue the opportunity here. And we feel this is unfair, and we want the affirmative action to be an act to help the people who are living in difficult conditions, who grow up in the poorness and the poverty. We help that kind of people, but we should not block the people who are working harder to get an equal opportunity for education. And this is so many other things. And we're facing that problem, but we don't have the voice in the Congress because we don't have people to represent us. And we need to change that. And we come to this country, we feel a lot of blessing and the freedoms, but we have to understand the freedom is never free. And a lot of people come here recognize this, but to change that, we need some people who can roll in the sleeve to do it. If you don't do it, you cannot change things. So we are so fortunate today and to have one outstanding young woman who is willing to risk his financial future. He is willing to come out there to fight for us. And she is coming here, and she graduated from the Princeton University, and a very prestigious university, and get a very promising job in the Morgan Stanley. But she sees all the things. She wants to change the world for better. She gave up her job and willing to risk herself financially to come out working for us. And she's running for the congressman. So let's help her to get there. And I'm so honored and pleased to introduce you this outstanding young woman, our next Congresswoman, Lindy Li.
大家你们好，叔叔阿姨们，谢谢你们的支持。Richie, Rachel, thank you so much for coming today. Can we just give them a round of applause? And also Roy, just seeing. This is what America's all about. You come from so many different backgrounds. You're here with me this Saturday before Easter Sunday. That is a big deal. I hope you know how deeply thankful I am. This has been such an incredible journey. I don't even know what to say. I've experienced cruelty and joys and difficulties throughout the past year, but each moment of adversity only makes me stronger, only makes our community stronger. I don't want to go on this journey by myself. I'm taking every one of you along with me. My family and I came here, like many of you, with close to nothing, a few $100s, even if that. I'm the granddaughter of illiterate rice farmers. Only in America is my trajectory possible. 我是在成都四川出生的, where the Panthers are from. Who would even dare to imagine that someone like me could run for the United States Congress, one of the most, venerable institutions, aspirationally at least, right? And it's just such an incredible honor to be with you today. My family and I were able to achieve something incredible, build something beautiful through sheer determination and hard work. We have to keep that promise alive for you and your loved ones. Your children deserve a world of possibilities, and it shouldn't be limited by their race, gender, socioeconomic background. Where would I be without the generosity of the American community? I went to high school on a scholarship. I went to Princeton on financial aid. It would not have been possible had it not been for the strength of the American community. As was mentioned before, there are only 3 Chinese Americans in a 535 legislative branch. And then we wonder why our voices aren't heard. And also, Richie, I think you would relate to this. We don't have a single woman in Pennsylvania. 20 members of Congress, not a single woman in the year 2016. And then we wonder why we're being paid 79 cents on the dollar. Right? Equal pay for equal work. I know you're just as intelligent, if not more so, than your coworkers. Then why are you being paid 79 cents, 79% of what your male counterparts are making? It doesn't seem fair to me. And then in the year 2016, female bodies are still legislative battlegrounds. I think we can do better than that. But I'm here to tell you today that I'm willing to sacrifice everything for our community because I no longer want to be the other. I've experienced so much racism and sexism and ageism over the past year. I have 3 strikes against me. Not only am I Chinese American, I'm also a woman and I'm young. And every day people try to tear me down. In fact, this is actually pretty personal. On the way here, Shushu Ai, you can attest to this. My lawyer gives me a call out of the blue. I don't know how many people know this, but my opponent is suing to kick me off the ballot because he realizes it's probably his biggest, best chance to win. We raised more than $500,000 now. My opponent is bankrupt because he's spending every last nickel to remove me from the ballot, even though we submitted 2,510, and we have more than the minimum 1,000 required. So I hear that now he's asking for my utility bills, my receipts for the chairs and the tables that I bought for my apartment. And this is just such a desperate and dirty tactic. Instead of talking about the issues and how we can help people, he's asking about receipts for my water bill. How is this supposed to help people? Why are we wasting taxpayer money arguing over these things? This is so emblematic of so many things that are wrong with our current political system.
And let me tell you one of the things that matter most to me. Campaign finance reform, let me tell you, I truly believe is one of the most pressing issues of our day. And I live it every single day. I should not be spending 90% of my time trying to keep this campaign alive by fundraising. But unfortunately, that's a reality. I'd love to do something about climate change, but I can't. Because big oil is in the way, or some other company, or some other deeply entrenched special interest. I'd love to do something about gun violence, but I can't, because the NRA is in the way. For every single thing that we care about, there's a special interest attached to it. Until we clean up the way that our campaigns are financed, we can't really get at the root of these issues. And let me just talk briefly, and I don't want to go on and on. I'd rather have this to be an interactive conversation. You are my friend. I want to be your friend. I want this to be an enduring relationship. I don't want to be in for a few hours and you never hear from me again. I want this to be a lifelong relationship. I intend to serve our country in whatever way I can throughout my life. So, but let me tell you about one thing. My parents have sacrificed everything to make this possible. I see a lot of young faces in the crowd. I hope you understand. How many of you were born here? Can you raise your hand if you were born in the United States? So many of you, or some of you at least, are closer to the presidency than I could ever be, which is a great thing. I hope that you find a way to serve our beautiful country that has given us everything, right? It's given us a future. We go back to China, we can't even get on Google. Or Facebook or Twitter, but I would not be where I am today were it not for my parents. 我真的非常非常感恩，他们为我做了巨大的牺牲。我知道我中文说的非常糟糕, but I'm trying to convey to you this kind of love. For example, my dad, I woke up at 4 a.m. today. Guess who drove me to the airport? My dad, without even thinking. This whole journey started I was 24 years old. You think I'm young now? I was really young then. This whole journey started as a 24-year-old young woman driving around the backwoods of Pennsylvania in the dead of the winter, trying to meet the movers and shakers of Pennsylvania, including Richie, and no one believed in me. So many doors were shut in my face. But, you know, we stood strong, we fought on. 是中国人的奋斗精神, right? Our ability to suffer, to work hard. That's a kind of mentality, and that's a spirit that I want to bring to Washington. If you bring someone like me to Washington, you better believe that the budget's going to be, oh my goodness, I have to give you a hug. Oh my God. Sorry, you just touched my heart. You're so adorable. I love you guys. And, I'm sorry, I'm kind of lost my train of thought, but if you bring someone like me to Washington, you will know that I will be a steward of your taxpayer money in the same way that I understand this is your lifeblood. I take the bus, I walk, I do everything I can to save the money that you have so generously contributed to our campaign. People have scrimped and saved to contribute to our campaign. There was a woman who took a credit line to donate the $5,400, the maximum amount. She could not afford to do so, but she did anyway because she so strongly believed in this. And it's not a matter of altruism. You're not being kind to me. I literally have maybe like 20, 30 bucks in my personal bank account at this point. It's not about me at all. And the moment the story becomes about me, it's over. It's about all of us. And I just want you to understand that it's an investment in our future. It's an investment in children's future. One day, my dream for you is that you no longer be labeled as a Chinese American. If you decide to run for Congress, they're not going to talk about the 25-year-old Chinese American running for Congress. They're just going to say, look at that woman running for Congress. We're no longer a hyphenated community. We love this country just as much as anybody else. Our hearts are just as red, white, and blue. We would just as readily sacrifice everything we have to keep our country safe, strong, beautiful in every way that I can, in every way that we can. And so thank you for this opportunity to speak with you. I'd love to have are we doing Q&A now?
Yes.
I'd love an opportunity to talk about the issues that matter most to you. And I just can't say enough how deeply I appreciate everything. You know, I woke up around 4 a.m. today and I was like, oh my gosh, again. I was just in Wisconsin last week, so I've been traveling all around. But now that I'm with you, I don't feel an ounce of fatigue. This is home, your family. Thank you for giving me so much strength. Honestly, 很多人欺负我, but when I'm with you, everything's okay. Everything's okay. Thank you so much.
Lady, thank you so much for coming here and sharing your story with us. I'm really touched. I think my question to you is, why do you choose to be a politician?
I don't choose to be I have to stop you right there because that word makes me cringe. I really don't want to be a politician. I'd rather be a public servant. I don't ever want to be called a politician. That, for me, there's so much baggage attached to the word that I don't want. I'm just a person, I'm a human being who wants to do something for this. I'm so sorry to interrupt.
Okay. Well, the other question I have for you is, what's the toughest challenge you have faced so far, and how do you do to overcome it?
Wow. Every day is a battle. As I said, my opponent is suing to kick us off the ballot. We're going to be fine, but I'm paying a lot in legal fees. I have a team of 50 people knocking on doors from 4 to 9 p.m. every single day. We're washing the district with our mail. We're sending out hundreds of thousands of pieces of mail. I wish I could be doing more of that. But unfortunately, half of my team is involved in, taking care of this legal challenge. Because although we're going to be fine, we still have to file the stipulations and a lot of legal procedures involved. So, we're not going to be defeated. The more they hit us, the taller we're going to stand. People lie about me. For example, because I'm Chinese, they say, she's only running for Congress because there's this Chinese businessman who wants a leg up in Washington. That's one thing that I've heard about me. And I heard, really? Can't you just believe in the purity of my dream? The fact that I wanted this since I was a little girl? Why can't you just accept that? Why do you have to turn everything into such an ugly fiction? But that's okay. You just keep going. And let me tell you how, actually, can I tell you when the exact moment I made my decision to run in 2016? I was originally going to run in 2020. And Richie, a few of the people that you know are involved in this story. So Pennsylvania Society, of course you know, a lot of Pennsylvanians gather in New York City around Christmas time. It always happens to be around my birthday. I was 23 years old then, and I walked into this beautiful ballroom, and everyone was dressed in really fancy clothing, and I'm pretty sure it was the only Asian person there. And I was not invited, by the way. No one knew I existed. I'm certainly not important enough. No one gave me an invitation to this. I only heard from one of my friends that the most important people, the political leaders in Pennsylvania, are going to be there, and you should be there too if you had any intention to run. And I've been saying for years now that I wanted to run for Congress since I was like 12 years old. So obviously, it's like, I'm like a moth towards a light. I had to go to this. Unfortunately, I ended up in a room of Republicans. I didn't know that they were Republicans. They seemed like perfectly friendly people to me. So I spent like 30 minutes in the wrong room. No one bothered to tell me or give me any direction. And so it was me going to the Waldorf Astoria without an invitation, in the wrong room. Eventually made it into the right room. And it was around midnight. I met Congressman Matt Cartwright, who actually endorsed me. I've been endorsed by 5 members of Congress now. He represents Scranton, the Scranton area. And so I was in a room, a packed room, a few minutes before midnight, and I found myself in a corner with a tall, lanky man and a short, stocky man. And I started telling him, hi, I'm Lindy Lee, and I'd love to run for Congress in 2020. And I started talking about the issues, and I was like, I really care about climate change and women's rights and the working class families. I come from a working class family. And they just kind of laughed in my face. And I just kept on talking, and I told them I'm serious about this. And they, and one of them eventually said, okay, fine, I'll give you my number. And the short, stocky man said, why don't you run in 2016? Hillary Clinton's going to be at the top of the ticket. You would benefit from the down ticket effect. And once you plant a seed like that in an imagination as fertile as mine, you really got to know what you're in for. And I thought, wow, 2016. But you know, I was just immediately, it was like Eureka, you know that moment when the Greek man jumped out of the bathtub? Eureka, it was an epiphany. I knew that I had to do this. So a few minutes before midnight, I decided to run for the United States Congress. It turns out, and then the clock struck midnight, everyone was still partying, and I don't drink alcohol, and I went home in my pumpkin, in other words, a taxi, and I did some work and I went to bed, and that's how I generally live my life. But turns out that the tall man is the general counsel of the Pennsylvania Democratic Party and also happened to be the Southeastern Caucus chair and a grandson of a former Pennsylvania governor, Jerry Lawrence, and who is now one of my strongest supporters. And the other person is Laser Palnick, a really good friend of Richie's and a longtime friend of the Clintons and also really involved. So it was such a serendipity to find myself in front of two people who could actually set my campaign in motion. So much of my life was about that. My life was so improbable. My parents left me 2 weeks after I was born. No wonder I'm so weird, right? My life is so unlikely. And I just want to bring that same spirit of resilience to you. So every day is a challenge, just because of who I am. But hopefully everything I do today will make it so much easier for you. And is Ethan in this room? Is Ethan lurking in the back? Ethan is their son. And hopefully, he's 8 years old. Hopefully everything I do today will make it so much easier for them. Because I'm taking the shock value away a little bit. So, good.
So Lindy, how did you choose Democrat over Republican, and what is the primary difference for you?
There's specific reasons why I'm a Democrat. I'm so proud to be one, and my family wouldn't be where we are today had it not been for the principles that the Democratic Party espouses. Equality of opportunity, even though we're Chinese American, and understanding that racism is not okay. I know that's a very simplistic way of putting it, but honestly, people in middle school, I don't know, kids, if you've ever experienced this, but people used to pull at the corner of my eyes and make fun of me because it's something that I could never change. How heartbreaking is that for a young preteen to experience? It's an emotional scar that you bear with you forever. And the Democratic Party represents America at its finest. Like Lincoln said, a house divided against itself cannot stand. We are all Team USA. Why are we fighting each other? And there are also specific issues. I care a ton about climate change and the challenges that it poses. I truly believe it's a defining issue of the 21st century. What's the point of having piles of cash if you don't even have clean air to breathe? And what's the point of working so hard if your kids don't have the opportunity to get ahead? And women's rights. And we think in the year 2016 we're equal, but if we're not moving ahead, if we're not making progress, we're sliding back. And I know, and it kind of alarms me, I know that there are Chinese Americans who kind of sympathize with Donald Trump. I know, let me just tell you, but can I just issue a warning here? Racism cannot be quarantined. Tomorrow he might be coming after us. Racism is not okay. It's a slippery slope. Why should anyone suffer over factors that they could never change? It's so heartbreaking. This is the greatest devastation. To have to suffer because you're a woman, because you're something else. And I'm proud to be a Democrat. And frankly, my parents are Republicans.
How to raise the social status of Chinese society, Chinese groups in America, regardless where you think we are different groups. So I think that the fundamental thing is how can we raise the overall status of Chinese in this America so that we can get better treatment, more fair treatment. That's my first question. The second question is, nowadays there's a very strong interest in China for overseas investments. So how can we track those funds to maybe help us to have a better representative or economic influence in this society? So that's my two questions.
Well, thank you so much for your questions. I'm going to come roaring back. I'm going to keep fighting back. I don't want to be beholden to anybody but you and Pennsylvanians and the people. So, and keep in mind, we came here with $200. The six of us, my grandparents, used to live on $40,000 a year. Now my dad has a multi-million-dollar business, employs around 50 people. We're job creators. And that's a story that I want to convey to America. We're not here to take anything. We're here to build something great. And I just want to show America that not only can we be doctors and scientists and financiers and professors, we can also be public servants. We can lay everything down for our country. My actions are elevating our Chinese American community. That's what I'm trying to demonstrate to you. And I will be a vocal champion for all of you. When people talk about anchor babies, remember when Jeb Bush said, oh, the Chinese only come here to have their babies and they go back home? Remember that when he was running for president? Those comments are not okay. It's so dangerous. Say whatever I wanted. That's just the same kind of mentality that I bring to the world. If there's a problem facing our community, you can count on me saying something about it. But as I'm really grateful, I'm really hopeful that China and the United States can become increasingly financially intertwined, because then the likelihood of going to war, the likelihood of clashing decreases. We have to find a peaceful resolution to the South China Sea. Both sides are not going to get 100% of what they want, but we have to understand the hallmark of democracy, the hallmark of international negotiation is that you're not going to get 100% of what you want. And so yes, this whole campaign is about lifting you up. I find my strength through you. That's what I'm trying to say. If it weren't for you, I don't know where I'd be. Not only am I fighting against racial discrimination, I'm fighting against thousands of years of gender stereotypes. Well, young girl, you should wait in line. This man was already there. You should wait a few years. Go have a family first, get married first, have a few children, and then come back to us. But insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. Insanity is also electing the same kinds of people over and over again, expecting different results. We need selfless leadership. I'm the kind of person who thinks paradise is being able to sleep on a couch on Capitol Hill to save money. And my idea of fun is bringing policy binders home with me and better understanding an issue. And reading books about politics and everything. I grew up reading books. That's why my eyes are so bad. But, thank you. Yes, you're Roy, right?
Yes.
Okay.
A couple of the people before you spoke, they sort of brought up, I think, issues of affirmative action. And one of the, I think, principal ways that the Democrat Party sees itself as countering racism is to promote affirmative action. And I think sort of the premise of affirmative action is that each ethnic group or each racial group should get the proportion of slots in a school or a job or whatever, proportion to their proportion of the population. Although that would be very detrimental to Chinese interests, because some schools, I think there's a school in New York City called Stuyvesant High School that maybe is more than half Chinese.
Or Berkeley.
Or Berkeley or whatever. So, do you in fact support that kind of affirmative action, or what is your position on that?
I think we should mend but don't end. I think the status quo needs to be slightly changed, and we shouldn't be pitting racial groups against each other. Because right now I see it as a dichotomy between African Americans and Chinese Americans, and that's not good at all. I think we should also incorporate a greater socioeconomic factor into the calculus, so we're helping people who are truly in need. Because there are a lot of extremely well-off African Americans and Chinese Americans. We need to help people who are truly disadvantaged. And there was actually a study that shows that students who receive more financial aid are actually more likely to prosper in their academic environment because they're so grateful to be there. And I'm one of them. I'm just like, I can't believe Princeton accepted me. It's just like a blessing beyond measure. But we also have to look at other things, K through 12. We're not funding we finally have a budget this week. But prior to this week, we didn't even have proper funding for our public schools in Pennsylvania. That's such a travesty. So we have to look at everything. But right now, we really have to, I strongly believe it needs to be changed and tweaked. Because it cannot be portrayed as a zero-sum game. What can I say one last thing about this? I understand that it's an issue that's close to our hearts because our children are going through this process. I will always believe that no one should ever be discriminated against because of their race. If you are otherwise qualified to gain entry into an institution, you should be able to attend that school. I know that many schools look at the holistic package, not just SAT scores, ACT scores, though, so we should probably bear that in mind. But you should never have to suffer or take a blow because of something you can never change about yourself.
Hi.
Hi.
So, my name's Gabe. I'm a senior at the North Allegheny Senior High School. And before I ask my question, I want to let you know, I was born in China, I'm an immigrant, and I appreciate the courage that you have to run for office, not just as a Chinese American, but as a young age. I'm the student body president of my school. We have 1,400 students, but obviously that's different from 700,000 people inside your congressional district. But
You did your homework.
I can draw some parallels between what you're going through and then what I'm going through. But my question has to do more with how do you plan to appeal to the Caucasian community in the 7th district? For example, like 88% of the district is Caucasian, and whether or not you're dispelling stereotypes of the Chinese are the ones causing climate change, which is false, by the way, guys, don't believe that. Or it's a hoax made by us, or you're just dispelling notions that you're only running to cozy up with a Chinese businessman, or if you need to dispel notions that like
Whose identity no one knows, by the way.
yeah, for like this event, I think it's great that you're finding roots in the Chinese American community, but Caucasian voters might look at this and feel alienated from your platform, not because you're trying to alienate them, but because of your Chinese American background, like inadvertently with those compromises. So how do you plan on appealing to that 88%? Because the 4% of the Asian community is definitely behind you, it feels like most of the time, but just to be blunt, I don't think those voters can get you through to carry you to that seat.
Absolutely, and by the way, I'm leading my district 67 to 16%. And I am winning among both white men and women. And I'm leading among men, which is ironic because my opponent is a man. And just because I'm here at a Chinese American event, please don't think that I only do these events. I'm out there every single day. I've been to every high school, every college, almost every community center in the 6th district, by the way. And you're absolutely right. I don't want to just be the Chinese American candidate. I'm first and foremost American. America is my country. It's my #1 priority. I think that's the only maybe this is like a conservative thing. Richie, forgive me, but I view everything through the prism of America first. You know, let's focus on, that's the only thing, you know, maybe I'm with the Republicans on this, but I feel so strongly about our country. We have to make sure that our children are taken care of, that our schools are properly funded, that our roads and our bridges are worthy of the 21st century. I have a very domestic perspective, but I'm doing everything I can. I have 50 people knocking on doors every single day from 4 to 9 p.m. And our entire team is, I think actually, it wasn't intentional, but we actually have like one Chinese person on our team, and I think it's my mom, because she's driving people around. Her English is kind of broken, so she's not the best canvasser. She doesn't go knocking on doors, but everyone else is, as you said, Caucasian. We want our team to reflect the district. And it's something, the race element is something I'm so deeply and almost painfully aware of. If you look at my mail, there's never a single, it reflects our district. So I hope you don't get a warped sense of my campaign, because we are deeply invested in the residents of the 6th district, the vast majority of whom are white. But it doesn't matter to me. As long as you're American, I want to serve you. And even if you're Republican, I'm not writing you off either. I just don't care. If you have a good idea, let's talk about it. I don't care what party you're from. But Gabe, thank you for your question, and I applaud you on everything that you've achieved so far. I can sense that you already have a very bright future. You're very confident and intelligent.
I have a question. So you spent some time as a Wall Street investment banker, and that's a profession that's been a source of a little controversy, not maligned, but the source of a little controversy in this election campaign. So I'd like to know what your views are on financial sector and banking reform.
I'm a little nostalgic for Glass-Steagall. I think that heralded a lot of negative consequences and might have even led to the recession. We need to separate the commercial from the investment banking arm of banks. But at the same time, financial banks play a useful part of the economy. So Dodd-Frank needs to be fully implemented. People need to finish writing rules. Believe it or not, years after 2010, we're still trying to figure out the ins and outs of Dodd-Frank. 6 years later. But you know, I was making a substantial sum on Wall Street, but I was so deeply sad. I remember looking at, I had an apartment over Times Square at age 23, and I remember thinking, wow, this is an amazing view, but I'm so sad. Because my life's compass is obviously pointing me in a different direction. First, what the heck am I doing in New York? I'm from Pennsylvania. Secondly, this is not the job for me. I'm just following the well-trodden path of other Princeton graduates. We're supposed to, Princeton's motto is in the service of all nations, and what were we doing on Wall Street? And you might think that I have mountains of pressure on my shoulders, and sure, if you look at my, yesterday night, I had my hair up. I was like, wow, I have a lot of white hair now. What am I gonna do? This is really bad, and I can't even pull them out because I'm losing my hair. So by the time I pull out my white hairs, I'm gonna have no hair left. But even still, I feel such a deep sense of serenity. I'm filled with such peace and just love and just calm. And oh, here's another thing. Talk about challenges. This is something, am I being taped? Oh, what the heck, I don't even care. So this is the truth. In terms of the challenges I face, every day is a battle. I'm not even exaggerating. I'll get back to the Wall Street thing, but in a nutshell, I'm not sure if we're prepared to ward off another recession. I'm not sure if the reforms that we've implemented are fixing the previous recession or preventing a new one. The taxpayers cannot be on the line again. We haven't indicted a single person for the recession. That's inconceivable to me. We've never held anybody responsible. So that's something I really care about. At the end of the day, the only thing that matters are working class families, are the bedrock of our country. When you prosper, we all prosper. When you fail, we all fail. We're all in the same boat. But let me tell you about my 2 a.m. story. So in terms of challenges, I got a phone call from one of my staff at 2 a.m. in the morning, and that, you know, it's not that atypical because we work around the clock, but 2 a.m. is pushing it. He usually calls me around 1 a.m., and then things start to quiet down after that. So I was thinking, 2 a.m., I should take this call. I'm generally up anyway. And he starts like screaming, he's like, Lindy, you gotta wire him the money right now. And just, and it took me a while to figure out what exactly was going on. So I was being blackmailed. And so someone was gonna go to Politico or some newspaper with lies about me if I didn't pay him $21,000. I know, and you know, and I was just so calm throughout all of this. And my staffer was like, do you understand what's going on? Like everything you worked for would come crashing down if you don't give him the money. And by the way, people tell me that I'm young and that I'm immature and that I'm like, you know, unstable. And I'm the youngest person on my team, and I'm telling everyone to calm down. Don't lose your head. Let's think this through. Let's call my lawyer. Let's talk this through before you do anything. And you know, like curse words are flying around. We're on a conference call, and then it's so emblematic. My team, like, we love each other. No one works for me. We work together as a family. Even still, I sometimes have difficulty getting my point across. And you know, I hate to say this, but sometimes I really do have, my dad is the treasurer. We're gonna transfer him off to a natural professional. But I call my dad at 2 a.m. By the way, that's just an example of the deep sacrifice my parents have made. Call him at 2 a.m. He doesn't even say, why are you calling me? He's like, oh, like, you know, let me handle it. So the four of us actually were on the conference call. Really mentally unstable individual was essentially blackmailing us. And my dad's like, it's 2 a.m., we're not gonna make any decisions without the lawyer. And had I listened to my staff, who are 20, 30 years older than me, I would have been $21,000, would have $21,000 fewer, that's a grammatical, sorry. I always think of it this way, it's less confidence, fewer dollars. You don't say fewer confidence. That's a good way of thinking of it, right? So, had I listened to them, had I caved into their anxiety, into their fear, we would have been in a worse place. But I stood strong. And even though my own staff was yelling at me, Linda, do you see how dangerous this is? But you don't negotiate with terrorists. If you give them money now, and who knows? And this is just like the latest incarnation of the things that we've had to suffer through. I was getting death threats last year during the summer, but everything's fine. I'm just so much stronger. And I think of Franklin Delano Roosevelt. He can play a chess game in the middle of World War II. If he can deal with that, I can deal with this. You know, nothing can bring us down. People say that I'm not ready, but everything that I've been through this past year are things that normal human beings don't generally experience during their lifetimes. And you know, it's okay, I can deal. I can't even imagine a scenario in which I would lose my head. Every problem now, I'm just like, okay, let's talk about the problem, let's talk about the way forward. Sorry if the answer is too long, but that's just a deeply personal story. And yeah, so it's just, I never said that I'm proud of myself, but I'm actually proud of how calm I've been able to remain in the past year. I don't know what happened, but I'm suddenly I'm like a tree that's deeply rooted. Nothing can blow me down.
Thank you, Amy. We're so proud of you. I know we have a lot of questions to ask, but you know, we have to move on with our schedule. So our next thing will be Dave. He's going to solicit for the donation. That's why we are here, right? Yes, please.
So this is Dave. So first, let's give the Lindy a big applause. Thank you for coming to Pittsburgh. Thank you. I'm so proud of you. No, just here. So why I'm here and why we are here, it's very simple. We're supporting Lindy. So I would see 3 points. First, I would teach all of you guys 2 slogans. That's the first thing we need to support Lindy. The first is 2 slogans. One is Chinese, another is English. Do you want the Chinese or English first?
Your choice.
Okay, Chinese first, because we are Chinese, okay? So the Chinese very simple. When we say Lindy, you said 加油, 加油. How about, let's try this first, okay? Lindy! 加油! No. Not loud enough. Lindy! 加油! Lindy! 加油! Thank you, Lindy. Now, move to the English one. I think it's also very simple and very strong information to all our community. It's you win, we win. You win? We win! You win? We win! Thank you, Lindy. Second point. I think the Vivian already told you about a little bit information about Lindy. But I want to add some more information and let you know how close Lindy to us. Okay? So, maybe some of you still not know, all the senators and the representatives altogether, 535. Okay? So how much is the percentage of the Chinese? 2%. So put them together, how many members, senators, and the representatives should be ideally as the percentage of the Asian, of the Chinese? Give me a, max.
11.
10 to 11, right?
10.7.
Right. If you're rounding, should be 11, but at least the 10. But how many we have now?
3.
Only 3. So should we have Lindy as the fourth one?
Yes.
Sure.
Give me loud, a clear answer.
Yes.
Yes. And let me give you more information about the first 3. The first is Liu Yunping, Mr. Yunping Liu. He is from California. Second is Zhao Meixin, Miss Meixin Zhao. She is from California too. So later on we have Meng Zhaowen, Miss Zhaowen Meng.
Grace.
She is from New York. So 2 from California and 1 from New York. We need another one from the East Coast. And we need another one right from Pennsylvania, right?
Yes.
So, how close Lindy to us? Very, very close, right?
Yes.
Sir, I would like to have all of you give all the volunteers today a big applause. If you put everything together, it's such a wonderful event. And I especially want to thank 2 ladies, Mr. Shi Chao and Miss Judy. I think everyone, when you came here, you look at them, they put every of your donations into our system. And they give you very smiley, every their smile when you came here. But can you tell they're a little bit sad now? Because, why that happened? Because I give them our goals. And right now, I tell you, we only accomplish half of them, around half. They want, when we, all of us, we leave this home, when the Lindy leave, I think Lindy don't care how much we contribute, right? She don't care at all, but we care. We want Lindy to be the 4th Congresswoman, and how to support. We are here is the first support. We speak the slogan loud is our support. But the third, we need big financial support to her. And I ask all of you to put more contribution for Lindy, okay?
Yes.
Okay, so 2 slogan again. Lindy! Lindy! You win!
We win.
You win!
We win.
Thank you so much. And I back to Vivian. And if you want to contribute, continue to contribute, we have the very nice 捐款箱 donation box, okay? And it's still not that full. Okay?
Thank you, Dave. So the next thing in the schedule is we're going to take pictures with Lindy. So in order to do it nicely and efficiently, so I'll ask the gentleman come first. You will stand on the first line would be the back one. Gentlemen first, then the ladies come in front of the gentleman, and then the kids will come in the first line. So we'll have a nice picture here, a big family picture. So gentlemen, please.
Would you ask the kids to come?
You should stand in.
I should stand back.
Get a chance to talk a little bit.
So gentlemen, please.
Who's taller than stand in the middle?
I'm taller.
This is love to
Oh, I have a range.
All the gentlemen, including the volunteers, we want to have a big picture of everybody, a big family.
Education right now, there's a problem. Education privatization.
Okay, now our ladies can come forward.
I just don't know how the height's working out here.
Okay, the ladies. Okay, we have more ladies here today.
Lindy, you should stand in the middle.
Blocked out the gene.
Oh, wait, oh.
All the ladies and the kids. How about we have kids in the front?
Everybody.
Everybody, except for the photographer, I'm sorry.
Is that rape? What did you take?
摄像头 ，sorry。
Elizabeth Guo, and I'm currently a 10th grader at North Allegheny. Today we are here to enjoy the time with friends, but the best highlight of today is definitely our meeting with Miss Lindy Lee. She is running for Congress, and if she does succeed, she will be the youngest Congress member ever in history and the one who best relates to our problems as the youths in America. Therefore, I hope that we will learn much from today and that the things that she shares with us, as well as her journey to Congress, is definitely something that is valued. Just a small introduction as to who she is. Miss Lindy Lee is 25 years old and a Princeton graduate, but that's just a tiny bit of what she is, and we'll be able to hear more on what she says today. So although some of us are somewhat familiar with the political happenings in the United States, we see that many of us are mostly unaware of the journey it takes to reach a political seat. Therefore, as for me myself, I find today a valuable experience so that I can interact with the hopefuls who may make a revolutionary difference in the United States as a representation of our ideals as the youths of America. So today, with our age, none of us kids can actually vote, but still, we see that there are many other opportunities out there for us. We can still make an impactful difference today by listening to the thoughts of a congressional hopeful. We can also learn from them and gain an understanding as to the type of representation that we want. We will hear her speak of her platform and views on the reforms that are necessary in this country. Ms. Lindy Lee does have a strong stance, from what I understand, on the affordability of education. As it is, this is something that does pertain to us all here. I understand that most of us are planning to attend college, and that there is a huge importance to us as to the affordability of these student tuition costs, because this may result in large student loans that many of us will not be able to afford. So with that, we see that reducing these costs will definitely help in diminishing the number of students who are burdened by this. So furthermore, today, we see that Ms. Lindy Lee will be able to elaborate more on these later on in her presentation. Another thing that I have noticed is that she is also representing some of the minorities in the United States. Ethnically, we see that she is able to bring more of the type of representation that we want in Congress that will be able to make more policies that pertain to us. For example, we see that many of these injustices for those who are considered minorities exist. For example, in universities, we see that people also have a slightly biased selection process where they are not entirely based on grades in the resume, but it's also based on things like race or ethnicity, which is something that should not be a factor. So with more representation inside Congress in all these political positions, hopefully we see that there is more equality, and that we can have more policies that pertain to us, that'll help us minorities come to a better stance in the United States. Okay, yeah. Therefore, I just want to stress that it's necessary to realize that the predicaments will only remain predicaments until we get better representation in the government. And with that, as a female student, and I'm a minority somewhat in my school, I really do appreciate Ms. Lindy Lee coming here, and I see that she is an inspiration to us. She is one seeking to implement these solutions and advancements for us and other groups who are underrepresented in the United States. I would like to hear about her views today and her dreams, and how they have shaped her to who we now know of today as an admirable candidate running for Don't be surprised by the things that we can do as the youths of America. Thank you. Now I'll be passing this off to Mr. KK.
女士们、先生们，我只能用中文讲啊。关键的句子希望我们翻译给不懂中文的人听。我就讲两个字。 成长，成长。我今天非常兴奋，就是说看到我们匹兹堡华人在这个整个一个社会生活当中在成长。2月20号，我们应该从去年讲吧，去年9月19号，我们在匹兹堡举行了一个中华文化节。 这是匹兹堡历来华人举行的最大的一次活动，这是创造了第一。今年的2月20号，我们匹兹堡华人举行了一次挺梁大游行，这个就是为了那个梁景元的这个案子，我们举行了一个示威游行。那个警察局告诉我们，这是76年以来匹兹堡最大的一次抗议的游行。 这是我们华人办的，啊，这也是一个第一，第二个第一，第三个就是第二天2月21号，我们匹兹堡华人举行了一次农历新年的大巡游。那么这个警察局长就站在我的旁边，他告诉我，他说这是匹兹堡历史上第一次这么大的一个群众活动，一个文化活动，这也是我们华人创造的。那么我们第三个第一。 那么今天呢，我们在做是第一次华人集中起来支持我们华人的一位新星啊，政治新星，就是我们的琳达李小姐，我叫她李琳迪小姐。那么为什么是第一次？因为这么年轻，25岁，李琳迪小姐是成都人，我第一年到成都是80年代，那个时候她还有10年以后再出生。 但是他今天因为成为一个美国的政治新星，你说我这个年纪的人是不是很高兴？我看到我们在成长，这就是我们成长，华人运动在成长。那么为什么我们要特意提出华人运动要成长？有一个不争的事实，大家都知道，我们华人在美国是个弱势群体，我们常常受到一些不公平的待遇，这是事实。所以我们必须要成长。怎么成长呢？第一个是发声，我可以告诉大家。 自从2月20号的游行和2月21号的巡游以后，政府的人讲，匹兹堡200-300年以来只有2种声音， 一个是白人的声音，一个是黑人的声音。他说现在匹兹堡出现第3种声音，就是华人的声音。这是不是我们在成长？就是我们知道发生了，对吧？我们华人首先要发声，发生以后怎么样呢？发生以后就算了。啊，假定说这次梁景渊这个案子翻了，啊，哪怕判无罪，难道我们就停下来了吗？不，我们还要前进，我们还要成长。怎么成长呢？选票，我们要参加选举，我们要去登记选民，然后用选票来说话，这是第2个。光抗议是不行的，是不是啊？或者光游行、光这个搞新年活动也不行的。我们要懂得在美国这个政治生活当中，要利用选票，选谁？选自己人，这个没什么好说的。共和党会选共和党的人，民主党会选民主党。我们华人现在应该在这种情况下，不管党派，就是选华人，因为我们还没有成为一个受到公平待遇的一个人。那么第3步是什么？成长到什么程度？第3步就是说，我们如果说啊，我们选出我们一个华人，并不是华人在选他，是所有的人不同的种族人都在选出一个华人的时候，我们这个华人在政治上才真正成熟。这是我的一个观点，我不知道大家同意不同意，是吧？那么现在是第1步，我们有这么优秀的一位年轻的一个政治人物。那么政治人物，我后面的话是要对李小姐说的。政治上有2种人物，一种是政客，一种是政治家。政客和政治家的区别就在于什么地方？政客实际上是为自己的，在美国来讲，就讲话是政治正确，他讲的话都很正确，但他实际上在为自己。政治家就是为大家的，对不对？我们刚才听到李小姐的一番讲话，我们知道她是为大家的，所以我们坚决要支持她。我希望李小姐再进一步，她会变成一个参议员，是不是？只要她为大家去努力。下一次，这一次她不在我们的选区里面，因为她是一个众议员，她是分区的。下一次我希望她再来匹兹堡的时候，我们有权投她的票，她成为一个众议员、参议员，对不对？她成为参议员，我相信她有这个能力。虽然她那么娇小，是吧？看上去我心里很担心她有没有这个体力啊，有什么？但是她跟我讲了，她完全有，她的精神非常强大。所以呢，我送给她一样特别的礼物。大家稍等一下。很多人知道，很多人叫我诗人，我不算诗人的话，当然我写几首诗的可以啊。我来念一下给大家听，什么意思？李涛不与自成蹊，就是李涛不与夏自成蹊，就是说梨树和桃树这个花很美丽，你不用讲，它的树底下就会走出一条路来。你不用讲，就说明这句话代表他有这个能力，我们大家都会知道，不用说讲很多天花乱坠的话，我们就知道他是很有能力的。第2句，林下风范上云碧，林下风范这个4个字是代表一个女孩子，一个非常文雅、非常这个文雅、非常贤淑的一个女孩。然后呢，云碧是什么？这是墙壁吧？云碧呢？云的墙壁就是天上，这古文里面云碧是代表天上，它这个风范可以走得很高，是吧？笛称凤雅，音绕梁。笛子有一种笛子叫凤笛，对吧？这个凤笛的声音绕梁散热。今天林小姐在这里讲话的声音，我相信大家会记住不止3天，恐怕30年再记住，是不是？永驾龙车朝京畿，京畿是什么地方？首都啊，首都到华盛顿。我们相信李小姐能不能到华盛顿？加油！我再念一遍啊：李涛不与自成蹊，林下风范上云碧，笛称凤雅音绕梁，永驾龙车朝京畿。 勇不勇？非常勇敢，对不对？所以我没有见到以前，我已经知道他非常勇敢。好在我写了勇敢，他真的是很勇敢。我这里写73岁啊，其实我已经73岁，超过一半了，应该叫74岁。这个送给，那么大家看到这个诗有什么特点？
长头诗。
李林迪勇，下面长头诗啊，是不是像唐伯虎一样写长头诗？这个我不知道喜不喜欢你这个林小姐啊，谢谢。那好，那行，来我们来你来接一下，合个影。
好感动啊！
真的是，所以我告诉我的朋友，我们昨天晚上我跟其他州的朋友说，林小姐来，她看不到匹兹堡的人有多少，但是她一定感到匹兹堡的人的热情。我不知道李小姐能不能感觉到。啊，那么我再讲最后一句话，美国的政治竞选是需要花钱的。啊，这个大家都知道，因为这是政治现实，对吧？所以呢，大家多多捐款。我呢已经退休了，我没有太多的，我没有什么收入，但是呢，我愿意捐我的一份，啊，多少不管，但是我是凭自己的一个能力去捐，100块钱，麻烦你看你们像什么，好不好？谢谢老师。加油，加油！对，好，我就讲完了，谢谢您。
Wow, 大姐，我真的是好感动啊 I'm so deeply grateful, I don't even know what to say. I was jumping out of my seat when I realized my name is actually the first character. Did you see that? Instead of my Chinese. But, so this session is all about you. You're our future. We gotta do everything we can to give you the foundation to succeed. Let me tell you a really quick story. I had a 61-year-old voter call me, and he said, I'm so excited about your candidacy, and we happen to have the same birthday. And I said, thank you so much for not writing me off because of my age. And he said, why would I write you off because of your age? Don't you realize that the Nobel Prize winners, they did their best work when they were 25, 26, in their 20s. You're right in the thick of it. And so I was like, wow, no one's really expressed it to me that way before. And that's the same message that I want to convey to you. Don't let your age ever be a hindrance. You can do anything you set your mind to. You just got to work for it. Outwork everybody. You can achieve your dreams. And everything I do today will make your road all the more softer. So thank you for giving me a chance to speak with you, and I don't want to speak to you, I want this to be a friendship. I want you to, hopefully you see me as a sister, not as a political figure. That's not what I want. And Father, I just want to thank you one more time. Thank you so much, I'm so touched. Can I say something? I want you to be deeply aware that my campaign would not have been possible without the sacrifices of this older generation. 谢谢叔叔阿姨们. Thank you for all your hard work. This would not have been possible. You were the trailblazers for me, and hopefully I will be the trailblazers for you. And I see a lot of girls in this room. The guys abandoned me. But, we don't have a single woman in Pennsylvania, and that's why our campaign is so incredibly important. We gotta encourage you to go into fields like science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Those are the fields that propel the engine of our economy forward. And let me tell you a story. I think since there's so many girls here, I think you could relate to this. Who knows who Steve Carell is? Okay, one person. 2 people. 2 people. Thank you. So he was the graduation speaker. By the way, what's your name again? Yeah.
Oh, I'm Derek Kroll.
Derek, thank you again for coming. Honestly, just the fact that it's not 100% Chinese here just warms my heart. Because this is America's greatest strength. Our openness as a society.